I just love to smile. I just love to smile because I know there's so many people out there in the world who are truly, truly, truly lightening up their load of nonsense to get into a place where they see how they can make sense. You see, lightening your load of nonsense so you can make sense is the most powerful, amazing, wonderful thing you can do for yourself. But let's get into it. First of all, I just want to say I love in each and every one of you. Wherever you are in the world, I love you and I will always love you. I'll be rooting for you every single day because we are the lit leader of legacies. You are a lit leader of legacy. Now, let's get into what's really going on when we think about this world that we live in. One of the biggest issues that we have as human beings is that we are in a world called entertainment to take you away from attainment. Now, why? Now, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. You can, watch movies, watch Netflix, watch this thing, watch that thing, go to sports games, do all these things, that's fine. However, anything that takes you away from yourself to the point where you have forgotten about yourself because you're afraid to admit your fears to the divine, to God, and to yourself, is why you have disruptions, or what we call disruptions. What is a disruption? That means that you have all these frequencies of energy moving through you, right? And these frequencies of energy require light directly from God to move through you. But then what disruptions are malfunctions in thinking, emotional energies that are being affected in you because your masculine mind is beating down your feminine wisdom or your feminine emotion. Listening to information that really has nothing to do with you and your progress as a being, as a lit leader, as a vibe master who is here on the planet to bring your heaven and earth into full recognition, or what we would say as letting the spirits naturally build your heaven on earth by bringing all the good that life has to offer you because you are thinking in alignment. So let me give you an understanding of what thinking in alignment means. That means that if you say, I'm not a good artist, and your definition of not being a good artist is because you're comparing yourself to other artists, you are betraying yourself and you're betraying God. Just like that. If you say, money's really hard to come by, or life is difficult, that means you're betraying yourself and you're betraying God because you're only basing it on the circumstances that you've gone through. You do not realize what the universe can do for you if you were actually to understand how it all operates. Yeah, exactly. And here's an interesting one. Did you know that the biggest reason why people actually think that if they go do this thing or they do that thing or they drink this smoothie or they drink that's going to move the needle of their spiritual evolution? What actually moves the needle of your spiritual evolution is you being truthful about your fears that you hide from God and hide from yourself by keeping yourself distracted and caught up in a bunch of nonsense. And that's where I come in. I'm not your guru. I'm not here to be some savior because I do not want that at all. I am here to be your brother in light, your friend, a guide to remind you who you are at the highest level of your greatness. Can I get a woo woo? Can I get a woo woo? Can I get a yes, 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 yes? You see, the thing is that every time you say something out of your mouth that either puts you down or makes life look difficult, you're actually betraying yourself and you're betraying God because you're not seeing things clearly. You're not recognizing that you have this amazing, amazing power inside of you and all around you that is wanting you to see the truth. And that's why we say you have malfunction in thinking because you're thinking against yourself. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. Okay. In order for things to manifest in your life, you need to stay constant, right? Stay constant means what? It means that your entire being, your what we call faith, your belief is not swayed. But it's okay if it gets a little bit swayed because then all you have to do is ask God the angels, the spirit guides, your ancestors, to give you a demonstration that things are changing. But most people don't ask for demonstrations where things are changing. They think they have to have this blind faith, and that if by having that blind faith that they're going to get to where they need to go because, well, guess what? That's not necessarily true. You see, because you can't just have blind faith. And Spirit knows that. Spirit knows that there's all these obstacles and distractions and, things that people are doing to kind of like move you away from your truth and what is your truth and what is can be your truth if you remained in that space, and kind of tick the ticking clock over to you moving back into fear, lack, limitation, worry, scarcity, and whatever other things that when you go over to this side goes, right? And here's the interesting thing. Every time, and this is really what's fascinating about our world, is our world wants you, and this is the matrix. So I'm going to give you some real inside matrix tips. Okay. The matrix, which is a system that is built to put an imaginary cage around you that you can't see, but is actually real, gets you to accept being in that cage by having you do certain things in your behavior that keeps you in that cage. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. So let's say, for instance, you're like, I don't want to have pain like I went through in my childhood. Well, guess what? Just in that moment, you've already created the cage of that pain to be real in your reality. Why? Because the Matrix's job is to make you look at things that you wish you had, but you don't have. And by the fact that you feel bad that you don't have it, you're already bringing your energy down, and you're putting yourself in that cage of lack, limitation, fear, scarcity, and not enough. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So the thing is that the key element is God never asked you to talk about what you don't want, what you don't like, and what bothers you. No. Because God knows that you're a child of God. And the moment you open up your mouth or put your mind somewhere, you travel there energetically and you begin to invest in the very thing that you're talking about. God wants you to dream and keep dreaming and keep dreaming and keep dreaming all of the most amazing, powerful things that you could ever imagine. And then just stay constant in that dream. Literally living a life of lucidity, completely being lucid, meaning being awake in the dream, not the dream that you sleep at night dreaming, because that's just showing you how you've been dreaming, but the dream when you are actually in this embodiment with your eyes open and you actually dream of all the things that you want spirit and the divine and the ancestors to create for you without ceasing to stop dreaming of the great love, light level possibilities. Now, when I say love level, light possibilities, what I mean is everything that brings the highest level of joy to you and fulfills you at the highest level, literally making heaven on earth. And not something that you have to go and beat the pavement for to get heaven on earth, but literally allowing spirit to build it for you. And so whenever you get like that neither going to the other side where you start doubting or going into fear, or is it things really going to change, or did I do enough manifestations or anything? All you have to do is this simple exercise, which I teach a lot of my remembrance students, right, who want to learn more about shamanism and understanding how to keep their vibration lit and on high level frequency. You just simply say, Divine Spirit or God or Jesus or Muhammad or whoever it is that you feel that you have some beautiful connection with in the spirit world. It could be your ancestors or it could just be your spirit guides. Give me a demonstration that things are changing, or give me a demonstration that keeps my hope alive, or my belief alive, or my faith alive, however the word you want to use, because words are completely up to you and how you want to put your energy and belief system behind that word. So then what you're doing is you're giving spirit to do what they love to do, which is to keep you in the light. And spirit loves to show this to you, right? Because spirit wants you to believe. Spirit wants you to know that you're loved by God. Spirit wants you to know you're never judged. Spirit wants you to know that the malfunction in thinking that we've been manipulated on the planet about, which is that there's God and there's this devil, and you have to meet God's expectations or you're not going to heaven. And if you don't meet God's expectations, then you're not going to get rewarded. And if you don't meet God's expectations, then, bad things happen to you, which is all one big farce, right? Because that's how they keep you in the cage in the matrix, is to make you believe that you have to become the warden of your own jail cell. And you don't even realize you're actually being the warden of your jail cell, because you're beating up on yourself. You're being hard on yourself. You're telling yourself you're not good enough. You're doing everything that keeps you in your jail cell. And all they have to do is put propaganda out there and put billboards out there and put things in music and put things in movies and just keep you wrapped up in this interesting dilemma called you keeping yourself in imprisonment. And as the great Bob Marley said, only but you can free your mind. And you know what? It's true. So the key element to move out of these what we call disruptive patterns of energy is to stop having malfunction in thinking, right? And we're going to be demonstrating that in a little bit with some people we're going to be doing healing with, or whoever asked us for that. But we're not doing that right now. So don't go crazy tapping on your screen going like, oh, me, because we still have some more things to talk about. So when we think about the true transformation, right? What is real transformation? True transformation is removing these disruptive energies that are limiting God's love and light and energy coming into your being and being able to fill you up to your highest truth, which what people call ascension. Some people call it your higher self. Everyone has a different name for it. It doesn't really matter what name you call it. You can call it your Holy Spirit. You can call it what you want. The point of the matter is that it's pure God love in your being. Now, a lot of people don't believe they're worthy of God's love. So they feel they haven't done enough, or they should do enough, or if they were worthy of God's love, why, or if they were loved by God, why did they go through so much pain in their childhood? And why did they suffer, and so forth and so on? But that's not the truth of it. The truth of it is your trauma that people go to get counseling for trauma and all this trauma stuff that we go to. Trauma is created by the idea that you base everything in a very either good category or bad category, which then basically allows your conscious mind, which not your conscious mind, not the conscious mind that is the mind of the divine that is operating in love and awareness all the time. But we're talking about the part of your mind that is your masculine mind that is good at organizing and analyzing and putting things into perspectives to keep you safe from all the things that you went through in your past. That mind then organizes your good and bad experiences and then creates what we call frequencies, relays through your body, through your parasympathetic nervous system, your nervous system, and all parts of your being. Therefore, that's the reason why you get triggered. You get triggered because something of the past reminds you of something now that really doesn't have anything to do with the real situation, other than the universe allowing that person to say something to you to trigger you so that you can actually do what we call the self-love, to realize that that's not because of what that person just said. That's because you've been triggered already from the past and it's still resonating into your now moment. And so spirit wants you to close that door, or should we say, clear that trigger. I always found when I used to have dysfunctional relationships, it was because I was triggering them and they were triggering me. But now I have the most amazing relationships where we look at our triggers and support each other in our triggers. So that way we don't have to argue and fight and be this big cluster ball of chaos as a couple, but we actually get to be this beacon of light, of love and energy for the planet, and therefore creating healing for the trees and the plants and the kids and everyone around us who gets to experience our love. But you can do the same as well too. But how do you do it? You have to become humble. Now, what is humbleness? Okay, well, let's look at it for a second. To be humble, it means that you have to be okay with the fact that you are taking in new information and you don't have to have it all figured out. But most people have to constantly give me their resumes of all the things that they did spiritually so that they can feel that they did something and they're getting somewhere. But do you know what the funny thing is that your idea of getting somewhere is actually not getting you anywhere, because you're not doing what you're doing because you're actually wanting to be this master of wisdom and intelligence and love and beauty and art and creativity and all these wonderful things that you can be by being humble and accepting accepting the teachings from your council members, which are your guides, and of course, your ancestors and the angels, and of course, God, and all the spirit helpers and everything that's always here to give us the guidance and love that we need if we're willing to listen. But if you're not wanting to listen, it's because you're not humble. And it means you're not willing to take in new information because you want to be right about the information you already have, because your ego needs that validation that you're smart enough, you're spiritual enough, and you have it all figured out. Here's an interesting thing. To me, as a shaman, I don't really care about having it all figured out because that's not why I'm here. And I know I'll never have it all figured out anyway because there's a lot of things to figure out if I want to. The thing is, what do I want to know about and what things do I want to move into to go into higher vibrational frequencies? There's a lot of information on this planet, but not all information has to be taken in. Yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting to have that memo that not all information is necessary to take in when we were kids? Like, we're supposed to be listening to everything our parents and our guardians say, but is everything they're saying coming from love? Is it coming from higher consciousness? Or is it coming from the things that they themselves have not even processed? Yeah. Well, I'm actually betting on the new generations that they're actually going to figure that one out before I even have to say it. Or probably they already know and they're just looking at us going like, what are you guys doing? But the point I'm making is this, is that it would be so much more easier for you to realize that you don't need your past as a reference for yourself to move forward in your future. Because the only thing that you actually really need from your past is the energy experiences, not the good or bad, because the good or bad is a disillusionment of keeping you in trauma, because in your masculine mind, which needs to analyze everything, is going to use that to make your decisions in the here and now. That means that you're going to make decisions based on your past mistakes or things that you think is a mistake or things that you want through so you can avoid them happening again instead of realizing that the unknown doesn't operate like that. That's why it's important to have feminine energy. And that's also why the Matrix didn't want feminine, or should we say women, to be able to speak their truth, because then you would get out of the loop of disillusionment very quickly. And if you got out of the loop of disillusionment very quickly, then there would be no way to keep putting you back into that loop. And therefore, then we would actually solve some of the bigger problems on the planet, like war, famine, racial issues, women issues. I mean, the list goes on. And that's not even including the medical world or the science world that would have been completely transformed if they were actually willing to open themselves up to the many dimensional levels of consciousness that are actually supporting the development of those things. Wow. Well, the cool thing is we're not so far away from having that as a reality. We're not. And that's where I come in, is to remind you to lighten up. If you're taking this whole thing way too seriously, you're definitely being charged up by some lower dimensional entities. And let me tell you about these lower dimensional entities so you can kind of get a clarity about them, okay? Because there's really nothing to be afraid of when it comes to the darkness. The darkness is actually just a bunch of different beings that have different opinions about different things that they went through when they had human bodies. But the thing is that when they died, they couldn't accept going into the light, so they've been hiding out in the shadows, which is not very different from what most people do on Earth when they don't want to face the truth about what's really going on. Like, I can't believe when people say this word, like the dark night of the soul. I'm like, the dark night of the soul. Why is it dark and why is it a night? And is the night always associated to something dark? Why isn't the night associated to transformation, or should we say illumination? Because that's when darkness, the light can shine brighter because it has this beautiful backdrop. But then again, most people like to say, I'm having a dark night of the soul. Wow, wow. I wonder what that means exactly. I mean, from my childlike self, the part of me that is, a childlike self, looks at it and goes, wow, that's really heavy. Why do you need to have a dark night of the soul? And why are you calling it that? Because you're going through things that are actually transforming inside of you, because you're being lifted up to higher vibrational fields, and it's been asking you to surrender those things that are actually been limiting you, holding you back, or not representing your truest form, which is what? You being a leader of legacy? What? You being a child of God? What? You being a divine master of light and energy and a true ascended master on the way up? But the thing is this, which I find very fascinating, is that people actually will subscribe to such nonsense. I'm having a dark night of the soul as if it's some bad, horrible thing that they have to go through in order to get to some higher dimensional field. Instead of realizing that I'm actually ascending to higher dimensional lights, and the very thing that feels uncomfortable is the part of me that doesn't want to be wrong and doesn't want to let go of these things that I thought were keeping me safe. Safety is not always what it's cracked up to be, as according to this world. You know, again, remember this, that entertainment is really, it's okay if you want to have some entertainment. You go to a movie, do this and do that, whatever, that's fine. But if it takes you away from your attainment, then you got to ask yourself, where are you putting your energy and why? And here's the interesting thing. Entertainment isn't always just about entertaining us. It's also for the sake of, well, yes, distracting us. Distracting us from what? Being honest with ourselves. Being honest with ourselves. Let me add this one to your lesson of remembrance for today. And when I say lesson, it doesn't mean that I'm teaching you anything. It's something you already know. It just maybe have been clouded by a bunch of nonsense. So I'm just kind of being like the guy who's, parting the clouds and letting the light shine through more easier for you. So it's not so like, oh my God, I have all this work to do. That's like the most like ridiculous thing to ever say. I have so much work to do. I did all these things. I never can tell you when I'm in a session with someone and they start reading off their resume to me, their resume that is all about like, okay, Durek, I did this, I did ayahuasca, I did that and that. I honestly don't care because that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to know how spiritual you are based on all the things you did. I'm here to know, are you living your highest level of joy? Are you letting spirits build heaven and earth for you? Is things happening easier for you? Are you able to create the life that makes you the happiest person on the planet? And if you're not, I don't care how many times you take an ayahuasca. Obviously, the ayahuasca is not working because you think ayahuasca is going to clean up your ass. All ayahuasca is going to do, and all Aya will ever do, is show you what kind of things you don't want to really deal with. But let's go into that for a little bit, shall we? I think so. Spirits, are you good for that? Yeah, of course they are. They love you, and I love you too. So let's go into it. Shadow work. Oh, God. If I hear someone say shadow work one more time, I think I'll pull out the hair that I don't have. The thing is, shadow work isn't what it really is. Shadow work isn't require any work at all. The only thing it requires is your humbleness, you're willing to listen, and for you to shut up. Why? Because your shadow is your light in disguise who doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't need to kind of like, put cupcake cream on it for you and some sparkles and stuff like that. Your shadow just simply does one simply thing. One simple thing. It tells the truth about how you really feel, what you really think, and also what things really are going on in the world and what's really happening. But a lot of people, because they don't like to hear the truth, because then they start judging themselves and thinking, well, I'm not that kind of person. I would never think like that. That's not me. I think you have it all wrong. There's nothing so interesting to me when I'm in session with someone and they feed me that line. It's like, I honestly don't care. Do you actually think I'm grading you like when we were back in junior high or elementary school or high school or college? Do you actually think I'm grading you on some kind of grading system? Like, oh, you're more spiritual here or you're not spiritual here. Do you actually think I'm like giving you an A plus, a B plus, or a C or a D or an F? No. All I am doing is recognizing what is real and what is truth, which is the light, and giving you what it is and telling you why these things are happening, what is happening to you, why it's happening to you, what you're doing that's causing it, and let's get moved through it. Like, let's move through it. Like, let's not play this game of I'm so afraid to hear the truth that because I feel like I'm much more further than I should be. Who cares? I really don't care. I always find it fascinating when people come to me and always try to resonate on some level of truth with me when they say things like, well, I've done ayahuasca and I did this retreat and I'm a Reiki master and I'm doing all these things. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. That's not why I'm here. I don't even sit and do that to myself. Like, oh, I'm the most powerful shaman. No. Uh-uh. I'm just a beautiful soul that loves people. And I happen to know a lot about a lot because I've lived a lot of lifetimes on this planet doing a lot of things that are very similar to what I'm doing now. And I've also transversed the dark realms and lifted myself out of them. So therefore, the whole idea of needing to be like, I'm Shaman Durek and I did this and that, da, 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 da. I mean, yeah, okay, whatever, but it's not the case. It's like, okay, ego, are you done getting your validation for the day? Are you done getting your accolades? Did you get enough resumes on the table for everyone to clap and pipe for you? Because at the end of the day, none of that means anything to spirit. What only thing means to spirit is, are you happy? Are you not betraying yourself anymore? Are you truly living who and what you are and why we asked you to come here in the first place? I mean, literally, I don't know why people don't realize how valuable they are to the universe and to God and to all the spirits. You exist, for God's sakes. Don't you know what that means? Don't you know that that means that spirit and all the powers that be have asked you to come here because you are what this planet needs right now? So yes, if you're like prancing around and you're and you know and wearing some sparkly clothes and people are making fun of you and all that kind of stuff, that's because they're making fun of you because they don't even know why they're here. So you're like a threat to them. But actually they don't realize that you're actually the greatest thing that has ever walked into their life. And you know why? Because you are living your truth. Hmm. Yeah. And anytime someone lives their truth, there's always got to be someone who's not living their truth because they need you to see you. So they have to laugh at you. So let them laugh at you. Let them say you're horrible, you're a con man, you're a charlatan, you're this, you're that, you're blah, 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 blah. Let them say it and make sure you wear it with the awareness of truth, which is not that you wear what they say is truth. But you wear the fact that you're irritating them and you're ruffling their feathers and you're actually creating change because the part of them that's uncomfortable is the part that has betrayed them so many times. They hope that you would betray yourself by not being yourself. That's why every time I see, like, this guy walk down the street, he's got high heels on, he's got a fur coat. He's like, yeah, I'm like, you go. Come on now. Come on now, God representing. Because why? Because God represents in every opportunity that brings uncomfortability to humanity through someone just being themselves. Like, why are people mad at you for you just being you? Like when I was growing up, I always had this like idea because my father had, kind of like brought this idea to me that I'm not allowed to be feminine and I have to be super masculine. And I tried that for a while. And then I started noticing me punching holes in walls and getting upset and like, just not being able to control my emotions. And I realized it was because of the fact that I was denying my feminine. I was denying the part of me that was naturally who I am. And I am a balance of masculine and feminine energy like everyone else is on the planet. And when you polarize one over the other, there comes imbalance, right? But the interesting thing was, it was like, then there was this whole idea of, oh my God, gay liberation. I can be a part of a gay community. But then I started realizing, why am I a part of any community? Because I'm a child of God. Why do I have to put myself in a box in order to have value or to even see my identity when I'm a child of God? So, I mean, yes, I can participate in different people's social groups and communities and whatnot. But that's when I realized in school, it was in junior high, I started watching the jocks, and then there was like all these different cliques. And I was like, I don't really want to be in any of those cliques. I'm kind of a mixture of all of them, but I'm actually just me. I'm just me. And so whatever that me is, like, going to be, right? So I used to like paint on my pants and like, do kinds of artwork on my clothes and spray paint things and whatnot. And that was just who I was. And I talk to spirits and I make potions for people. And if they get like a cut or a bruise, I'd make ointments for them and, do all these things. And people are like, oh, he's evil. He's a witch. Oh my God, what is he doing? Oh, he's so weird. He's so this and so that. And you know what's so funny? I just was like, it's okay what you want to believe about me because I know who I am. And it's okay that it makes you uncomfortable because that's why I'm here to be me. That's why God asked me to be alive at this time. Don't you think? And why would I be on this planet? I could be somewhere else in the universe, or I can be in heaven, or I can be, you know, a wind blowing in another dimension. The point I'm making is that if you feel for 1 second that you're not living your dream because you're afraid of what other people are going to think about you, then you're betraying yourself and you're betraying God. And if you ever say to yourself, I'm not an artist because I'm not like them, then you're betraying yourself and you're betraying God. And if you're always hiding and making excuses because you're afraid that people won't like you, you're betraying yourself and you're betraying God. And if you're in a relationship that isn't really honoring you and celebrating your every existence, like I do for my beautiful fiance, every day reminding her how amazing I feel to be with the most powerful, wise, loving, playful, super smart, super spiritual, divine goddess. God, there's no words that I could actually say of how amazing she is. She just slays, right? But the thing is, it was so interesting is that I could never get enough of staring at her or looking at her and every day telling her how amazing she is. And she does the same for me. And we just jump up and down and say, I say yes to that. I say yes to that. And you know what's so great about that? What's so great about that is that I don't need to put my shit on her and make her responsible because we honor each other's triggers. We help each other through each other's triggers. You go, oh, I got triggered. Let me help you through it. You open? Yeah, I got triggered. Let me help you through it. Why? Because we're not in this thing for power games. We're in this thing for evolution, which means what? Evolving love on the planet through our relationship. Isn't that amazing? A lot of times people think they're in a relationship because it pays the bills or the other person's working or they're doing this and that. That's not why you want to have a relationship. You want to have a relationship because you are showing how love can evolve between two people that expands out to your children, expands out to animals and plants and things, and even your neighbor's house will be getting a dose of your love that you're actually bringing through when you choose to bring it through. That's why if you're ever in a relationship and you feel like that's not the case, you're betraying yourself. You're in a relationship and you keep making excuses for someone and they tell you they're going to change and you keep believing those excuses, you're betraying yourself and you're betraying God. When people talked about the ultimate sin when I was young, because I grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist family, and I also had the shamanic side of my family as well, thanks to my wonderful great-great-grandmother. Anyway, the point I'm making is that what I thought was fascinating, and I used to always say this to my Aunt Shirley because she was also very shamanic, and my dad was as well. It's just he would hide it more because of my grandfather. But what I thought was fascinating with my grandfather, he'd always say, "Oh, you're born into sin," and I was like, "Oh, what does he mean by that?" So I started reading the Bible, learning all the verses, getting all really acquainted with the Bible and everything. And I saw some really amazing stories in the Bible. Don't get me wrong, and I have in Krishna, and I have in Buddhism, and I have in Baha'i, and I have in all these amazing things that I've got the chance to, take in and take in and understand about, right? And I don't really consider myself any of those things. I'm just me again, like I said, who just loves, you know. But what I thought was very fascinating was my grandfather said, "You're born into sin." And then I realized what he meant. Oh, it's not that I'm born into sin because I'm a sinner. It's I'm born into a world where people deceive themselves, where people betray themselves and they betray God. So, okay, that makes sense. And then he said, "Oh, you're sinning against God." And I thought, and he's telling me all these different ways you can sin against God. And I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. How can that make sense for an omnipresent being? That doesn't make sense for an omnipresent being. That's just common sense right there. Hello, Amala Ashe. Grandpa, I said to him, how is it possible that you say that we're sinning against God, but God's an omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient being, which basically means not held to any type of stature or any type of structure or any type of label or group or community or anything, but all of a sudden I'm sinning against God? I said, wouldn't the ultimate sin against God is to be who I am, to go against who I am? No, no, no. You have to be exactly what God wants you to be. But who? Why would God want me to be something? If God is omnipresent, then God would seek me to be omnipresent on one day too, or to at least thrive to be omnipresent or be omnipotent and being existing in all places at one time and be all a part of everything, like the trees, the plants, the soil, the ant, the bird, the dolphin, the whale, the lion, me, you, sister, brother, family, everyone, all one big family. Why would I be sinning against being me? If I'm trying to be someone else, then aren't I sinning? Isn't that the true sin where I'm actually betraying myself and betraying God because God said, hey, you were created because everything that you really are without any restraints or any part of your being that's being held down or being limited is exactly what you're supposed to be. But then the world tells you, no, you can't be that. You can't be this. Oh, I'm going to laugh at you at that. No one's going to take you seriously. Oh my God. What if they make fun of me? What if they don't believe in me? What if they this? What if they that? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. And if you haven't watched Charlie Brown, that's from Charlie Brown. I used to watch it all the time and go like, wah, 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 wah. But it wasn't blah, blah. It was wah, wah, wah. But the point is I did the blah, blah because that's how it sounds to me. The point I'm making is this. And I know I talk really fast because a lot of the information I get is channeled information from all the multidimensional aspects of my own being. the truth of the matter is that anytime you let someone make you deny who you really are because you require their love or you require their not, what is it that people have a fear of abandonment or not being liked or being rejected. The moment you focus on that, you've already rejected yourself and already abandoned yourself. So that's already out. I mean, if you're afraid of abandonment, you've already abandoned yourself. And secondly, if you are afraid of abandonment, it means that you're not recognizing that there is an amazing family called light, beings of light, higher sentient beings that are coming in with love like you have no idea. Spirit guides, spirit masters, all kinds of wonderful, wonderful family in the spirit world that is always with you and will never abandon you. So why do you care if your mom walked out of the door? I did. I used to believe, oh my God, my mom left me when I was a kid and I didn't see her for like most of my life. I mean, I heard her on the phone, but she never really spoke her own voice. I must be abandoned. So I always had this belief that I'm abandoned, I'm abandoned, I'm abandoned. And I have to keep acting out that abandonment in everything that I do, which was mostly basically pushing everyone away because I was afraid that they're going to leave me if they find something that they don't like, right? And then I started manifesting that as a reality because that was the very thing I was scared of, which means that my energy and my investment was towards the very thing I keep talking about. And then God came to me and said, you've never been abandoned. Why are you believing this nonsense? You've abandoned you by believing this nonsense, which you self-betrayed yourself and you betrayed me by not you living your truth and being who you are. Okay, so your mom didn't want to be there when you were a kid and your mom didn't want to come back when you were a teenager and you had to go and find your mom in order to be a part of her life, and that's fine. But it doesn't matter if it's your mom, it's your father, if it's whoever it may be, or if you had no parents at all, or maybe you were adopted. It doesn't matter, my darlings. What matters is how you treat yourself and how you operate in that awareness. That's what truly matters. So, isn't that amazing when we think about it, that we as human beings, we have malfunction in thinking that creates all kinds of problems in our life because we're thinking incorrectly and our emotions are not the first thing we go to, meaning the feminine energy, right? And this goes to all you beings out there who've been really honoring being a female energy or even having feminine energy, which is you two men, okay? Because we have both. Everything that we see isn't always what it's cracked up to be. What we see happening right now in different countries and so forth isn't cracked up to be what you think it is. And who you may think is the person you think is going to be there isn't all what you think it's going to be. Don't be fooled and don't be manipulated. Recognize that your inner being, your feminine energy, which is the one who navigates the unknown, and God will give you the information if you're ready to hear it. If you're not afraid to hear it because you've already made up your mind about what you think it is versus what it isn't. And I'm going to leave that with you. You can take it how you want and believe what you want it to be. I'm not going to tell you the depths of what that means, not because I'm hiding it from you. It's just because I don't participate in the human nonsense that human beings like to play out for the need to play out in the world of duality. What I focus on more is your spiritual evolution, your love evolution, your conscious evolution, your emotional intelligence evolution, your playful evolution, your creative evolution, and your love like expansive evolution, your pleasure evolution. That's what I focus on. Everything else to me is kind of like sticks and stones won't break my bones, but words will never hurt me nonsense. Just saying. Okay, so that being said, so when we as human beings realize that the spiritual idea of beating up on yourself to be spiritual or being hard on yourself because you have a dark night of the soul and some shadow work that you do, when it's really just your shadow who loves you and wants you to be real and honest and be authentic and be about that and not be about, not being able to hear the truth because it's too much for you to bear, is there, right? So there's really no dark night of the soul. It's just you're being dramatic, and most people love to be dramatic. And even like, for instance, like one time this person said to me, oh my God, this spirit, this demon, this entity is taking over me. Really? Let's go and look at it for what it really is. Here's what it is. I believe that a spirit has more power than me. So I'm going to throw myself and give that spirit energy to move me and drag me all over the place and whatever, and then act as if something's taking over me. You're a child of God. Or even the better one, when someone says, it won't leave, I can't get rid of it. That's because you don't want it to leave, so you can constantly make excuses. Because if you really wanted a spirit to leave, like leave, okay, and because you're the child of God and because you have free will, you can just will it right into the light. Bada boom, bada bang. You know, you don't have to go through so much craziness, but you go through the craziness because you need the craziness because then you believe. One time I was doing this, quote unquote, like working with people in Italy, and they were doing these exorcisms, you know, these priests, and you know, they were, it was all day. It was like an all day thing. I was so exhausted. So I went back to, you know, where I was staying and via Testevere, and this was in Rome. And you know, I asked God, I'm like, is it really this challenging to get a spirit out of a person's body? God said no. That's what they feel it needs to be. So they need to go through the dramatics, because remember, it's entertainment, right? So how do I do it? They said just talk to the spirit. I said, really? Just talk to the spirit? Like, just talk to it. So I, you know, like I said, can I get a shot at this? Can I look, try something? They're like, absolutely. And these are, you know, colleagues of mine, friends of mine that invited me. It wasn't like I was a part of some special thing. It was just like they happened to be doing this. This is what they do for a living. And I just happened to, you know, be invited along. So I just simply said, spirit that's doing all of these things because the person doesn't want to take responsibility. Can we have a conversation? And immediately all that and all that craziness and rolling of the eyes and all the whatever went through. They just was like, a spirit was like, yeah. I'm like, can we just have a heart-to-heart talk for a second? And it's like, well, I'm not trying to have a heart-to-heart talk with you, Shaman Durek. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Perhaps you forgot about your heart, but that's okay. I love you still. So here's the dealio. Why are you with this person? They're like, oh, because this person doesn't want to take responsibility. And I was like, oh, okay. So this person doesn't want to take responsibility for what? And they're like, being in the marriage that they're on. So they rather be possessed and go through all this antics instead of just confront it. So I thought that was very interesting. Someone said, call your mother and sister. Do you know how many times I've called my mom and she doesn't pick up the phone? And I don't really need to have someone tell me, call my mother and my sister, when I've done so much for my sister, like, you know, and so much for my mom. And you don't know the story about it because you're only reading what you think you know. And I love my family, but I do not love when my family doesn't do the things that stays in a place of love and do things to try to hurt me and my other family members and also my fiance. So we don't play that game. So maybe you read my post and about the, you know, lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't a lawsuit, it's a cease and desist. It's called, if you're gonna lie and make lies, expect the fact that I am going to step up and say, stop lying and knock it off. It's ridiculous. But anyway, we're going to move from that because I'm going to come back to, now that I've given you information, you can believe what you want to believe. And God knows, and everyone knows the truth of who I am and how I operate. I'm not here to create drama with any members of my family. I just don't like when people are operating out of integrity and not coming from love and not being accountable. And I'm not the bank for my family. They are capable of creating their own resources instead of using the press and whatever they can to try to survive off of what me and my fiance's lives are and what I do for the community. So, thank you for sharing your little tidbit, and let's get back to where we were. Okay, so anyway, when we understand that that whole dilemma that went through that person who was having all those like, blah, 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 right, was easily solved when we brought it down to the truth. And what is the truth, right? That's why I am no ATM. Don't get it twisted. That truth is what? That truth is that that person didn't want to be honest with the fact that they didn't want to be in their relationship anymore. So they went along and allowed some spirit to come in and bring them through all these dramatics of being possessed and whatnot because they were running from their truth. That's what I mean when I say the games we play. And the games we play are quite apparent when you understand how it all operates. Isn't that amazing how life can be when you actually realize that it's not as hard as you make it, but you make it hard so that you can have some kind of experience of it being hard when you don't have to. Just like when people are like, I want to create more prosperity in my life. And then I'm like, you do? Because someone who wants to create prosperity in their life would constantly focus on prosperity and never leave their mind from having prosperity. But no, what they do is they go, I want to create prosperity in my life, but is it really going to happen? Am I going to run out of money? I don't have prosperity because I never experienced prosperity. They have all kinds of reasons of why lack is what keeps their attention instead of prosperity and wealth and prosperity that keeps their attention. I said prosperity and wealth, prosperity and wealth. That was interesting. So that's the truth of it. And when we realize that truth, we then realize that we as human beings are powerful enough to have the ability to create the amazing lives that we want to create. I mean, look at me. I fell in love with the most amazing woman in the world, and I'm living happy. I get to serve and be of service to my community. I get to hold space for you and your power and your intelligence. I get to show up and love people in the world. I get to show up and share information that helps people to realize the potential that they have so that no one is lying to you and telling you that something's wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. You're absolutely divine and wonderful. It's the lies that you buy from other people and then you bring it to yourself. In other words, do you know how many people on planet Earth hurt themselves because other people don't like them? Yeah, quite a bit. There's a lot of people on the planet who actually think they're not worthy because someone else thinks they're not worthy. There are people on the planet who choose to limit themselves from having more in life because they believe that other people don't care about them. So basically, there are people on the planet. I'll give you this. There are women and men on the planet who, when they feel rejected, they reject themselves. I mean, how crazy. And then people call me crazy. That's crazy. What's crazy is to me is something completely different than what people think crazy, how I see crazy. People think crazy is because I meditate and talk to spirits every day. That's not crazy. That's normal. Crazy to me is when you actually reject yourself because someone rejected you. You don't think you're good enough because someone told you so. You don't think you're worthy because someone told you you're not worthy. That's crazy. So, how do you know you're experiencing dimensional entities? I'll tell you if you're experiencing dimensional entities when you are making excuses or hiding or running or ducking or covering or doing anything you can to avoid releasing and letting go of the fear. And that's what we're going to do right now. So who wants to go live? Let's go live. Let's go live. Yeah, baby. And no one wants to go live. Okay, well, that's fine. Oh, you said me. Okay, let's get you live, darling. Go live. I like taking songs and changing them into something else, you know? It's really fun.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, my love. How are you,
Hello.
darling?
I'm good. I love you so much. I love you so much.
I love you too. How can I best support you?
I just want to, right now, I actually did a session with you before.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was, I wanted to work more on how I can express my gifts to the world, actually.
Okay, well, let's find out why you're not expressing those gifts to the world. So let me talk to your spirit that loves you and wants you to see you expressing your gifts to the world. The spirit that supports her in expressing her gifts to the world, why is she having resistance or not expressing her gifts to the world? The spirit says it's because you want to be liked to be able to express your gifts. You believe that expressing your gifts is a validation of being loved, is an idea of love
Okay.
and being validated. What spirit is saying is that we don't express our gifts to the world because we need others to love us. We
Correct.
express gifts to the world because we love expressing our gifts to the world. Right?
That's the truth. Yes.
Could you imagine imagine if I, Shaman Durek, was focused on expressing my gifts to the world, and every time someone didn't like me or did a horrible article about me or said some crazy nonsense about me, that I'm like, oh my God, why am I even a shaman? I shouldn't be a shaman anymore. No one really appreciates me.
Correct.
Are you? No. I'm not in this for the people-pleasing game. It's because I love seeing people and the underdog and people rise to those who say they couldn't.
Yes, I want to see that too so bad. I want to give people hope and let them know that God is always here. He's never anywhere else, but he's with us all the time.
Great. So then let's remove the fear that you're not willing to share with God, shall we? All right, let's find out what that is. Divine Spirit, what is the fear that she's holding when it comes to her not sharing her gifts? I'm afraid that I will not be able to be liked by people if I don't give them what they want or if I'm not right. Release that throat.
You're right. That's exactly it. I'm afraid that I'll give them the wrong information, but actually, what I give is for them, and
Spirit, taking that out of her mouth and throat.
Sorry.
I'm afraid that I have to control everything in order for me to be spiritual and powerful. Release that out of her mouth and throat. I'm afraid to let go so that way I can clear these things. So I hide behind this entity that's speaking right now. Release that out of her mouth and throat. If I have this entity doing these things, then I'm not going to have the spiritual powers that I need. Release that out of her mouth and throat. I'm afraid that if I don't look like I have enough spiritual knowledge of what I think it means to be spiritual, that people aren't going to take me seriously. Release that out of her mouth and throat. I'm afraid that if I don't allow myself to believe that I'm having these experiences, that I'm not spiritual enough, release that out of my mouth and throat. I believe that I'm afraid that if I haven't done enough of the work, I'm afraid that if I am holding on to a belief that if I haven't done enough of the work, that I have to prove to people that I have and that I know what I'm talking about, release that out of the mouth and throat.
I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm ready.
Let's find out if you actually really believe that. Spirit guides, of course, believe that she's enough. She bases her idea of being enough based on what she has done and what she can do. She doesn't realize that the idea of being enough isn't the act of service. The act of service is to of service because you choose to serve God. The idea that you have to be enough in order to be worthy enough to serve God. These are two malfunctions that are not supporting her. I am afraid that I'm not enough unless I am doing something that gives me value. Release that out of her mouth. And
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you so, so much.
So do you see, my dear, how the idea of being enough or claiming to ourselves that we are trying to convince ourselves that we are,
Correct.
and the malfunction in thinking. The malfunction in thinking is that we have to convince ourselves that we're enough until we believe it instead of knowing it,
Okay.
right? Like,
Understand.
as I'm a very spiritual person, I go, okay, so thank you for letting me know that. That's not what I'm here for,
Yeah.
right? Knowing you're a person is in the knowingness. It is not in the I have to convince myself by saying it. You know, like when someone tells me I'm a really, really good person, why are you trying to convince me and yourself of that? If you are a good person, it'll show your actions and your behaviors.
Correct.
The way you show up in the world.
Yes. Yeah. I've been a people pleaser all my life, and it's just recently that I let that go. So I guess it's just letting go all that, and then also just trusting in
Let's
myself.
find out. Spirit, in regards to what you just heard her say, what are your thoughts about it? She is doing much better when it comes to her people pleasing. She still feels that she owes and she has to save people around her, which then holds her back from her being able to move forward because she doesn't want to leave anyone behind.
Right. That's right. You're
Very
right.
interesting. And in the idea of leaving someone behind, how is that supporting her in her evolution? It's not supporting her, child of light. The situation is that when she believes that leaving someone behind, she's not recognizing that they have to accept where they are in their
Correct.
evolution in order to support them,
Correct.
is not holding herself back and trying to convince the other person of the knowledge, the wisdom, and the information that she has in order to see them move forward.
Correct.
Something very important for human beings to understand that just accepting people where they're at allows them to grow even faster.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I just love them so much, and I just have to release that. Just accept everybody's where they're at, and they're gonna be fine where they're at, and I just have to keep moving forward myself.
Let me give you some wisdom on that. Are you open to that?
Yes, please,
When
please.
you love someone, right?
Yeah,
You don't worry about them.
that's right.
When you love someone, you're not in fear.
Correct.
When you love someone, you are holding only the highest level of possibility for that person. Only that. Sometimes say, I love them so much. That's why I keep going into that relationship. I love them so much. That's the reason why I don't want to leave them behind. No, you love them, but you're scared for them. You're already projecting fear
Yeah.
face,
I understand that. I understand. Okay. Okay.
right?
I understand. Yeah.
Go to someone, I love you, but I'm afraid for you.
Correct.
No, I love
No.
you, and I know you're going to be great.
Yeah.
You're going to be cool. You're going to be amazing.
Correct.
And you already are. You see
Correct.
the point? So when
Yes.
I want you to pay attention to these traps that darkness uses to keep you wrapped up in lower field energy,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
the idea of I love someone, you set them free,
Correct.
meaning set them free with
Yes.
God. I love, so I know good things are going to happen for them. I don't need to live in fear.
Correct.
Just like if I'm in a relationship with someone, I'm not going to stay with the relationship and make myself miserable just because the fact that I have to show them that I love them and they're not being abandoned. Because then
Correct.
I believe that God is there for them. I think only God is there for me.
That's
And that means I don't really see them. I only see my
correct.
emotions.
Correct. You're right.
You understand that, my love?
Yes, I do. So
Right.
what should I do to clear more of that? To just be more focused in just the, I pretty much don't, I let people be, but of course I get into those traps. But how?
You don't let people be.
Okay.
Okay, let's be honest. Finish
Okay.
on. Now I have your files in front of me because you're
Okay.
God,
So
right?
I love you.
All time it's about you. You don't be. You act go in with your spiritual energy unsolicited, and you start giving people your spiritual antidotes because you think that that's going to lift them out of their situation.
Okay.
And that's the whole thing. There's no judgment here. So when I tell you, this goes for anyone who comes into life with me or anyone who ever goes in
Correct.
sessions with me.
Correct.
I'm not here as a grade teacher of junior high, high school, or college. I'm not grading you on your what you say to me and how you say it to me. I am here to get you out of malfunction in thinking. The malfunction in thinking is that you believe that you have to save them. Any act of savory or that you have to save someone, save me. That's like and one, right,
Yeah.
is an act of believing that they don't have wisdom, knowledge, power, and ability to
Correct.
lift themselves up in the higher dimensions without your need.
Yes.
So you give yourself value on the act of saving someone. That
I
means that you
see.
don't believe in them.
Correct. That's true. That's
And
true.
you don't need to be hard on yourself in the process
Correct.
when you get information, right? So I'm giving you new information. Here's the energy I want you to start stepping into. Start stepping into, I love this.
Yes. Okay.
I, things that I didn't know about,
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
right? Not, oh, do the right thing. Oh, Shaman Durek, he's telling me something and I didn't have that information. So I'm not perfect. Perfect doesn't exist
Doesn't
in God.
exist. Correct. You're right. I think that's it's true because I'm thinking I have to be a certain way, but I don't. I just have to be myself authentically.
That's right. Because there's no I'm not here to judge you,
No,
right?
exactly.
God's
Exactly.
angels aren't going to judge you. Ascended masters aren't judge you.
God. Yeah.
Divine spiritual beings aren't going to judge you. People who
Correct.
are high vibration aren't going to judge you.
No, not at all.
Know that the process of understanding is in acceptance.
Correct. 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 I just have to accept me for me. Really accept me for just everything that I am and how
It
I am.
is accepting you without anyone restraining you, holding you back, limiting you, anything from the past, anything anyone's ever told you, anything and everything. It's called what we call complete
Ration.
liberation.
Boom. Freedom.
Complete liberation is the soul's vibration. Repeat after me. Complete
Complete
liberation.
liberation is the soul's vibration.
That's right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The soul's liberation is the vibration.
And
It was,
thank me, thank God.
thank God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I
And
love
thank
you.
yourself. And thank yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. I love you so much. I love everybody here. I love you all.
I love you too, darling. Mwah. I love
Thank you. How do I click out?
you. You just hit the corner,
Okay.
darling.
Love you.
Mwah. Bye, darling. Okay, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. That right there. Liberation is the soul's vibration, and anything that's limiting you from being liberated means anything that's holding you back from being who you really are. Who you really are, not who you're supposed to be to meet this person's expectation, who you're supposed to be to meet this group's expectation, who you're supposed to be to make your family finally proud of you. No, 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 no. Being who you are in your eyes, in your energy with God, with spirit, with the divine, where you're not holding yourself back, where you're questioning if someone's going to like what you do or how you do it. It's not about that. Whenever I create anything, I don't sit there and go, oh, the world's going to like it. No, I just go and create it because I'm a creator. That's what we're here to do. Shaman Durek, please bring me up next. All right, let's go there.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Are you doing well?
I am. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well as well. I know energy work can be tiring, so I wonder for your mental.
Why would energy work be tiring? Can you answer me that? If your energy is coming directly from source, which is a limited supply of love, energy, wisdom, grace, joy, beauty, freedom, playfulness, how do you say, sensuality, passion, play, all that, why would it be draining?
Maybe because you're under the programming of lack already, so doing
Could
is
be.
going to
Okay. Let's
make you feel like that.
why it would be draining. Spirits, what work be draining with human soul? Because they have expectation, they have an agenda, and they feel like they have to get to some finish line that makes them use their physical energy when doing energy work.
Right.
So if you're doing healing on someone and you're like, I want to heal this person, I got to heal this person so they can believe that I'm a healer, you're going to be drained.
No doubt. Yeah, because suffering only exists in the space between expectation and reality.
That's right. So the idea of creating a drain is only created because you are not in authenticity in that space energetically. You are not holding the foundations of that authenticity in that space. I've never gotten drained by doing energy work. I've gotten drained by not going to bed at night. I've gotten drained by eating the incorrect food that my body needs in order to feel that it's optimized at the highest level, but it's not because of energy. Actually, every time I teach a webinar or I get on these lives, I'm lit. And so when I talk about being a lit leader of legacy, I'm talking about being so lit because you're always in alignment with the energy of source. There's no tapping in or I'm plugging in or any of those things. When you are lit, it's because the energy is constant. It's constant. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you get to decide where you use it, how you use it, and what do you use it for.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That helped me to realign, I guess. I feel like that's the better word to use there.
Fantastic. I love it. So best support you, my dear.
Well, I wanted to ask about recurring patterns because that is the biggest thing I struggle with. Because I do like to set goals for myself just so I know whether I'm operating.
Set goals.
Goals in terms of what I lend my power to with my actions. Goals of not masturbating, for example. Goals of holding unconditional love with people around me.
What's the goal of not masturbating?
To retain something sacred, to not feel like I'm, I guess, using what's already here for something that isn't going anywhere, something that's not progressing anything.
And how is it not progressing? Energy is energy. Any energy throughout the universe is progressing something. It's affecting something. What is it? Why?
Not progressing something that I guess my interpretation of what a better world or a better place would be. Progressing something that actively deteriorates love.
Really? So you think masturbation deteriorates love?
Masturbation in the sense of watching pornography, yes.
To deteriorate that which is so sacred, which is love. How is that even possible? That would be like me saying, saying, going outside and spinning around deteriorates love.
Okay. I think I'm hearing that. Right. It's the end of the receiver. It's self-damage.
I'll tell you what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you've been caught up in a lot of trends and you're trying to find the right one to make you the right spiritual type of person. Okay. And that's fine. I get it because I understand how this world works and all the TikTok stuff and all the things that I see out there. But it's not the same for everyone. The same shirt doesn't fit the same every single person. It may fit one person, it may not fit the other person. But if you're doing it because you feel bad or you're doing something wrong, you've already made a mistake right there. Because that's called malfunction in thinking. The idea that you're doing something and you're judging yourself actually makes it imbalanced for you. Because if you're saying, I don't feel like masturbating because that's just who I am and that's the way it is. But if you're saying, I don't feel like masturbating because it deteriorates love, what you really want to say is masturbation is a distraction from me generating true intimacy and relationship. So I'm learning to put my energy more on true intimacy versus a quick fix. But if you're using masturbation as a way to punish yourself, then you're going completely against the grain.
Okay. So
now, if you're looking at porn, for instance, and that's your way of choosing to satisfy yourself with images and so forth, well, you have to understand we live in the Matrix. Porn was created for the idea of keeping people entertained. Again, it's either entertainment or attainment. Are you seeking attainment? Or are you seeking entertainment? So instead of looking at masturbation as, I don't masturbate, if you feel like touching yourself and giving yourself pleasure, it's a divine act. But it's about being conscious of that act. But if you're doing it because you're trying to avoid any form of intimacy, real relationship, real connection, and you're looking at porn, then we have to start looking at ways for you to create a different awareness.
Okay. Because then you're sending your energy to whatever source of the pornography or the image is originating from, correct?
Right. But you can masturbate and send your energy to yourself. You can send your energy to making more money. You can masturbate and send your energy into increasing your spiritual energies. It's all a matter of how you direct energy.
Is that to say also that most of the time we get caught up in dualities with things?
Yes, like I'm a vegan, I'm a this, I'm a gay, I'm bisexual, I'm blah, 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 blah. These are all labels that define you in the principle of that label. Why can't you just be you? When I was young, I had this belief that I can only be attracted to women because that's what everyone around me kept telling me. And my buddies, they were like, oh, you look at that gay guy over there, ha, 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 right? But then one day I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and she was, doing this hypnotherapy on me and whatnot. And she said, oh my God, you are denying yourself. And I go, what do you mean? And she, basically brought it to my attention. So I went to God with it. And God said to me, I made you exactly as you're supposed to be. If you have attraction towards men and you have attraction towards women, that's what you're supposed to be. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. So I was like, oh, so why am I trying to fit into a box that other people will accept? Why don't I just see what actually works for me? So then I experimented and I actually liked it. So I was like, oh, okay. But if I experimented and I didn't like it because I felt judged, that means I'm not really experimenting. That means I'm experimenting with the idea of having something held over my head as judgment that would limit me from actually accepting something in spiritual divinity. Spiritual divinity means that you don't judge yourself. You feel it. If it's a pleasurable, energetic energy that doesn't hurt you or anyone else, you're fine, right? But we create these definitions on Earth to create limitations. These limitations then become our bars and our structures that we build around ourselves so we can be righteous.
Yeah. See, that was one of the. I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm not gonna lie, you put me in a bit of a trance. I wanted to come on here and ask about locking myself into like logic loops and trying to feel right. I'm wondering if
Logic.
I'm betting that that's a child.
Find out from your team. Spirit, why is he locking himself in logic loops? They say because you want to come off educated.
Yeah. 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 It's a huge. It was a huge centerpiece of importance when I was growing up from my father. And
that was the second part I was going to.
Okay. Yeah.
Now let me ask a question. Why is he beholding himself to that type of energy? Because he still is seeking the validation that he felt he never got.
Yeah.
And What does he actually really need in order to move forward or clear this, to confront his fear? And what is the fear that he needs to confront, Spirit? That he's not smart enough, he's stupid, he's dumb, and he believes these things, and so therefore he's doing everything to try to counterbalance it instead of just admit the lie, which is right. So if I say to you, I'm afraid that people won't listen to me, that people won't take me seriously, that people won't believe me. I'm afraid that people will think I'm not smart enough or that I'm stupid. Release that fear out of his mouth and throat, spirits. I'm afraid that I have to control everything in my life in order to grow and evolve. Release that fear out of his mouth and throat. Afraid that if I'm not perfect, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm not going to get love. Release that fear out of his mouth and throat, spirits. I'm afraid if I keep this entity from the lower dimensions, and I don't let, if I let go of that entity, then I'm going to have to confront being humble and tell myself the truth instead of constantly keep defending the lie that's constantly moving through my system every day. Release that fear out of his mouth and throat, spirits. I believe that if I'm afraid that if I don't do everything that I believe makes you spiritual, that the spiritual community will not accept me, and therefore I will not be able to extend and rise to who I really need to become. Release that fear out of his mouth and throat, spirits. Now we're calling out your fears and debunking your nonsense.
Yeah.
And tell me more of it coming out of your body.
I feel this is good. It's me removing all the things I am not, which I had previously aligned myself to, holding on to the things that are trying to drag me down. Just letting go.
Nothing is trying to drag you down. Darkness doesn't work like that. You drag yourself down, darkness assists you.
That's yeah, right. Because they need your permission always with it. So it's the dragon eating its tail. It's Ouroboros. It just is, and it's my job to just be.
If you want to call some antidote forward in order for you to feel like you have it all figured out, that's fine. If you want to actually transmute these energies, it's about recognizing that you are way too hard on yourself. You take things way too seriously. You need to lighten up and enjoy life. Allow spirit to demonstrate to you how to create heaven on earth, how to make your life a beautiful, radiant energy of what is possible when you are not creating so much rules and regulations of what you think you need to be in order to be this. Lighten up. In fact, why don't you say this out loud? Say, God,
God,
give me a demonstration in my body
give me a demonstration in my body
of how to lighten up.
of how to lighten up.
And tell me when you feel that and say, increase it.
Increase it. I feel it.
And tell me when you feel it even stronger.
I'm feeling it stronger.
I'm going to pull another one of your fears out. I am so afraid that if I don't have the control spirit with me, that I'm not going to do things perfectly, that I'm not going to be perfect, that I'm not going to be able to have everything together. I will be disorganized. I won't be able to get things done. I won't be able to do this. Release that out of his mouth and throat, spirits, out of his mouth and throat, even stronger.
I'm not ready.
Tell me when you feel it coming out even more.
I feel it exiting.
You see, one of the biggest things that people do is they create these ideas of who they have to be in order to be validated as a human being. In fact, what they're actually doing is seeking other people to give them a reason to exist. You are already given the reason to exist for being here. That means spirit says you're needed at this time in evolution. So that's why you exist. Not because of what your mom and daddy did, not because of any of these other things. It's because you exist because the universe wants you here right now. But the universe doesn't want you here when you're coming in only at 20 and 30%. 20 and 30% means that you're still focused on how other people think about you, what they'll say about you, if they'll make fun of you, if they'll understand you, if they're this, if they're that. Let me tell you something. Anytime you remove any restraint, it's not because you're removing that restraint because it's something that you have to remove. It's the part of you that allowed you to let other people make you betray yourself. And every time you betray yourself, you betray God. So every time you accept something, a lie about yourself, that you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, you're not smart enough, and all these things. First of all, you have to understand something about your father, okay? Your father's information and wisdom was not coming from the highest light. It was coming from this part of him that felt that he had to prove something in order to be something. So his idea of this masculine projection of what it's supposed to be and what you're supposed to know, and if you're not this, you're an idiot, use your brain, all these little statements that would come out of his mouth were all his insecurities. And it's unfortunate that you actually allowed those things to affect you and believed in those things. And it's, and the universe isn't upset with you because of that. The universe isn't like, oh my God, I can't believe you believed in those things. The universe is like, now you know the truth. Why are you doing the same thing to yourself? Every time you feel like you have to prove that you're intelligent, you're smart, you're spiritual, you're this, you're that, there's a back voice going on inside that you're trying to defeat. You don't need to defeat that because that means you're still believing in that. That's the reason why people don't move when they go, I'm going to do fire walking, I'm going to do ayahuasca, I'm going to go do this thing, I'm going to go do that thing, and then nothing really changes. It's not because those things are going to change it. It's because you haven't emitted your fear and surrendered it to God to show you that those fears are malfunction in thinking and those things are holding you back. That's what moves the needle.
I stopped. Right.
So it's the righteousness of what you've claimed yourself to be in order to be accepted by others. And it's not necessary.
Not at all. Thank you, Shaman. Truly, thank you.
I love you, sweetheart.
I love
I,
you.
I know you. I know how powerful you are, and you don't have anything to prove to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. All right, man. So happy I came on here.
Yeah.
All right.
So that I'm always with you. I'm always love. I'm always rooting for you. I know that you are absolutely wonderful just the way you are without needing to prove anything to anyone because the only thing you have to always remember is that God would never ask you to prove anything. All God wants you to do is every day is dream and know that you are loved. And do you see the weight that's off you now by having truth?
Yeah. Yes. I noticed that my body's Like it's finding it easier to just sit in a normal posture. It doesn't want to slouch. It doesn't want to try to be rigid. It's just being now.
Yeah, because the heaviness is the energy burden.
Right. Right. And then that's on the director now to try to have the body counteract it, and then that's causing a whole other thing for me to try to look at too. It's all me, of course, but still, none of it is necessary.
No, it's
All
not.
wasted energy. Not wasted, but you know what I mean.
I
Not
know. Let me ask one more
okay.
question. Um, Mind, how do you feel now that you've been given this information? I'm processing the information and really beginning to make sense of a lot of things that I really challenged in life. I realized that a lot of the projects that I didn't complete were because of the fact that I wasn't really making it fun and enjoying the process, but I was trying to get to a finish line or a desired result so that other people would see how amazing I am. I realize now that with this information that you have shared, that I'm able to, but it's going to be a process because I'm going to be processing a lot of what you said and also going back and listening to it again. Great, Mind. Thank you for letting that me know about that. And emotions of his, how do you feel? I'm actually quite excited that you finally have shared this information, that he's taking it in, because I've been wanting so much to guide and direct his life and be able to help navigate the unknown, not through his analytical mind that needs to constantly be in control, but the part after show him how to live in harmony with himself. So it's really wonderful to know that the masculine mind isn't going to keep dictating having a participation in his life. Okay, that's good to know. Let's find out about your spirit. Spirit of his, how do you feel about everything? We are excited now that we can bring in more information. We really, really want him to get more back into his art and really start allowing himself to express his artistic talents and gifts without comparing himself to anyone. We are so excited to bring so many frequencies and energies into his being so he can recognize how great he is. Okay, excellent. And let's see, Spirit Guide, is there anything else that you want to share with him before we go? We just want him to understand that he doesn't owe anyone anything. All he has to keep doing is just loving and living and dreaming and staying in that space and not being distracted from it at all so that we can support him to manifest all the things he would like. Anytime he goes into being hard on himself or he feels that he has to put all this energy and inertia, it means that he's believing that that's what it's successful. Success isn't governed by how hard you work. Success is governed by spirit to be present in your life. Thank you so much for sharing that with him. I'm sure he's heard that. And thank you all, beautiful beings and council members. I know there's so many one of you that want to speak to him, but we have to move on. Now you have clarity of situations for you, and we're very excited for that. And we love you, and we want you to continue staying lit, being a lit leader of like how great you are. We're so happy to have you on the planet, my love. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaman, and thank you to all who are listening. I'm gonna go meditate on this. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Well, so amazing and so wonderful when we have the opportunity to be of service to God and support you and anyone to be able to see the potentials that they have in receiving God's love and knowing how amazing they are. Don't be fooled by anyone who tells you anything about yourself that isn't that you are the most beautiful gift that has come on this planet. Because, like I said before, you don't need someone else's validation for your existence. All you need is to remember that you exist at this time because you're needed at this time. So, we're going to go ahead and do one more. And I love you all so much for staying here and staying lit. And for those of you who want to open up your channels, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information how you can do so. Join the Lit Vibe Meditation app and subscribe Yeah, sure, it costs money to subscribe, but money is energy, and energy to give to yourself and invest in yourself shouldn't be an issue at all. In fact, what you get with the Lit Vibe Meditation app and what my family has created for you is an opportunity for you to awaken your channel so that the light of God and divine and spirit can move through you, moving those disruptions so that your life can open up and move these things out of your life and make your life easier. So if you haven't joined the Lit Vibe Meditation app and you're still questioning it, or you're still on the part of the app that's the free part and you're not joining the community, having great conversations, reading the success stories, and sharing in this beautiful experience, you're really missing out. These meditations are only 6 and 8 and 10 minutes and sometimes 15, and they are there to activate your prefrontal lobe, activate your energetic system, open up your channels so that way things can move quickly. We don't have time to sit in hour-long, 2-hour-long meditations. We got things to do to stay slay in this world and to stay lit. So join the Lit Vibe Meditation app so that you can find your vibe and take it to the next level. Okay. I love you, darling, so much. Now, yes, 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 yes. The app is lit. I know, I know, I know. I do the meditations myself and my family and everyone, and it's just amazing. I even had a woman the other day just tell me how so many things have changed in her life, and she's only been on the meditation app for 2 months. Yes. What did you say? It's worth the investment. You are worth the investment. Well, thank you. And that's kind of you. And even my webinars, I put at a lower rate so that you can get information that's not readily available in the world because people unfortunately are still sharing the same information that was so 80s. And right now, we are about upgrading our energies to higher levels in a short amount of time, especially with everything that's happening on the planet. We want to be really, really like completely lit and open up at the highest level so that and let me just pin this because my beautiful niece, who is my manager, who's always looking after me to make sure that I am always staying lit with her in the journey of our expression of love for all humanity, has just posted that link if you want to join the Lit Vibe Meditation app. But that being said, do you know how powerful it is to see someone who, let's say, for instance, had money issues, write you a letter and say that their money issues are no longer, they're putting money into savings, they finally got able to buy the house they wanted because they opened themselves up and they opened those channels up and cleared those disruptions. And it just goes on from there. There's so many different meditations. There's walking meditations, there's chanting, there's all kinds of amazing things, sleeping, all kinds of stuff. You find your vibe and you keep it and you take it to a higher place. I love you so much. All right, let's do another person. So let's see who wants to you say me, please. Me, please. All right, let's see what me, please brings us. Well, hello, me. Hello,
Hi,
please.
how are you? How you feeling? Happy Friday, everyone. Oh yeah, let's get lit.
Hello, my love. I'm God serve you. Best you know.
Hi, how are you? I'm fine. I'm in my car actually. I'm watching all of this in my car. I stopped and I had to just listen to you of all the things that you have to say and be educated on everything.
Re-educated.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
Exactly. But
Uh,
correct me when you have to.
okay, let's find out. Spirit guides of our. What is something right now that would be very when it comes and moving into. So, spirit guide wants you. It's a lot of different life, and spirit know that love by ancestors and over you, and into a space where you think you're because you're not. So let me ask, what is this echo?
I don't know. Maybe my car. I think.
Could be. Turn down your sound.
Uh, let me see.
How's that? and speak. We can't hear you. Speak, turn it up a little bit. It's probably your blue. Are you on Bluetooth? No. Can you turn up the volume a little bit more, please? I can't. Can you say something so I can see if I can hear
Can you
you?
hear me now?
Yes. Okay. Good. All right. So, Spirit, so go ahead. You were saying, yes. And so it's recognizing that you're not alone and that you are valued and appreciated and not going into that space that you have to do everything alone. So Spirit, why is she holding on to this belief of that she has to do everything alone? Spirit says because you don't really allow people to help you because you don't want to feel like a burden or you don't want to feel entitled to them on some level.
That is true.
Why does she feel like she's a burden? Why would she be a burden? A child of God being a burden to anyone? And if someone does find you to be a burden, that's because they're not at a vibrational level where you should be doing anything with them. Why would she feel like a burden? And why is she holding that? Well, the thing is, child of light, is that she doesn't like to be told what to do. So what she does is she decides how she takes in information. That has been a challenge for us when we've been sharing things with her, because if it doesn't feel good to her immediately because she's judging it, then she dismisses the information we have for her instead of her being open to what we say and realize that any being that speaks from the light is always going to be empowering and loving and supportive, and we're never going to put her down or try to hurt her in any way. Any being that speaks to her and makes her feel she's not good enough or she hasn't done enough, those are lower dimensional beings. And so she has to know the difference between us and them. And it's not an us and them from the way humans look at things, it's an us and them from the sense of being where you're attuning your energy. Because we are all part of God. Even beings in the darkness are part of God. They've just forgotten that they are. So the thing is recognizing that listening to the voices of love that love you and communicate with you, because you've had no problem in listening. But the thing is that she doesn't listen to things when she's in judgment. So you said she's in judgment. Okay, I'm going to talk to her mind and find out what this judgment is all about. Her mind, why is she in judgment? Because she has a lot of fear and she thinks she doesn't, and then she uses judgment as a way of protecting herself so that way she doesn't put herself in a situation where she feels she has no control. So you're saying she has control issues as well, from like the person that I was talking to earlier. Yes, but her control is very different because she believes that she doesn't want to get hurt, so she uses her control as a way of making sure she doesn't get hurt by disempowering herself before she gets to the place of where she could get hurt. So you're saying that she disempowers herself before giving herself a chance? That is correct, child of light. I see. So when she is in that space of using control to do that to herself, what does it do for all of you beautiful beings of light who are so masterful at making her life wonderful? What happens to your relationship with her? Well, we are still by her side and we still love her, but she doesn't give us permission to be able to make those changes because she's still believing that she can't accept the help or the support because she's still coming in from that belief system. I see. I got it. And so she's holding that. Okay, I want to talk to her emotions. Emotions, what are you feeling in the situation? She keeps reminding me of the people she lost and the people that she got hurt by. And I spend more time wanting to get away from those things that I keep going back to trying to find the reason why these things happen. And that takes up a lot of my emotional energy. So by the time she's always saying she's always tired, no matter how much she sleeps, she's always tired. That's because she's constantly dragging me into other dimensional paths, trying to find reasons for things instead of just realizing that those were experiences, and I'm here to help her to navigate this beautiful unknown experience in her life so she can make different experiences show up so she can have a better life. So you're saying she takes you back to the past. That's interesting. So you spend a lot of time, your emotion says, that you go back to the past, to places, people you lost, and things that hurt you.
Oh,
Um,
I always think of my grandmother. She passed away, I was very close to her. She was very spiritual. I also had come from a background of family that believes in a lot of things. I'm Hispanic, and a lot of Hispanics have that culture.
Let's
I
speak
always,
for yourself. Let's not speak about all Hispanics in one boat, because different Hispanics are evolving at different
oh,
levels. Let's focus.
yeah, exactly. And I always get a lot of dreams, vivid dreams, and I always doubted it, or so, like, oh, is that true, or no, that can't be, or something like that, or wanting to see anything, or carry anything, or who should I pray for, or how to tap into any demonstrations, or who, so many things that I would like to do, and it's just sometimes as human beings are very hard to see those things, because it's hard to see what you can't.
Okay. So first of all, your grandmother's always with you. Um, and every time you're going back to the loss, you're not realizing that her journey is no longer there, right? You didn't lose
Yeah,
your grandmother. She's moved into a different frequency, right? And so right now, what I want you to do is I want you to say, grandmother,
grandmother,
give me a demonstration that I can feel in my body
give me a demonstration that I can feel in my body
that you're here right now.
that you're here right now. I feel it. I feel it. And it got emotional right now.
Yeah, baby. I understand. But you have to let go of this part that your grandmother keeps telling me, that you keep going back to the belief that she's the only one who understood you, right? Right. And so you keep going back to that. She's the only one who understood me. She's the only one who understood me. So I can't open myself up. No one's going to understand me. I lost that security of being seen and understood. But there is someone else who understands you and wants to understand you more. And you know who that is?
God.
God already understands you, but it's you.
Yeah.
And that's what your soul is seeking. It's seeking for you to understand you. Let me
No.
let me ask your spirit a question. Her divine spirit, how would you feel if she was to start understanding herself and realize that she is the very thing that she needs? We would be able to do so many things, like her getting back into moving her body more and dancing, her ability to realize that she is a smart person and can figure things out and run her own business and make things happen. And that she's also a person who's really good at connecting people when she actually lets herself feel their energy instead of think about connecting them. She has so many traits, Durek, that there is so many beautiful things about her beloved child that we can't share all of it right now, because it would just be an endless hours and hours and hours of blessings that we show upon her. But what we can say is that she's a really good people person who understands people. And as long as she's not feeling sorry for them or taking on their energy, she is going to be great instrumental at really helping people see their potential.
Yeah, you're right. And I carry those things sometimes, and I try not to uh stay away from, let's say, stay away from negative people, stay away from negative thoughts. I try to block them.
You can't
I do a lot of things.
try to do anything, and you can't try to block them. Those thoughts are only coming up to give you reference to make a decision. That when a spirit comes in the room, okay, and says things to me like, no one likes you, Shaman Durek, no one cares about you, no one wants to hear what you have to say, you should just leave the planet, okay, I go, oh, so you actually think I'm going to believe you? Oh, okay. So what you're doing, you're revealing to me that there's some part of my being that is creating some doubt. So then I need to go and reinforce what I know to be true, right? That God loves me, angels love me, my family loves me, I love me, people love me, and there are people who don't love me. And it's not that they don't love me, it's that they don't that yet because they don't know who I really am yet. And that's okay. Maybe they'll remember me when I'm back in heaven. Maybe they'll come talk to me then, or maybe they will at some point in life. It doesn't matter. What's important is that I know the truth, right? And so in that moment, I completely stand strong and firm in God's love. And I say, no, no one's having this. I'm sending you to the light. And that's it. And move it on. Like as the great RuPaul would say, sashay away. And so literally what that does is it creates this energy that the more these types of beings try to communicate to me and the more I sashay them away, the more my power energy gets stronger and stronger, and the more these beings stop trying to play games. Okay. They only play games with people who entertain their games. You see, remember I said it's either entertainment or attainment. And so the key element is, why would you want to listen to anything that's telling you something that's not coming from the highest truth of God's love for you? And that doesn't mean just spirits, that means people too. People in the world also, remember, there's an old saying that says that we don't have war with people, we have war with spirit. Well, let me explain to you what that means. That means that people who are coming out of a place that are not coming from unconditional love, acceptance, and appreciation, and acknowledging who you are at the highest level, it's because they're still in the lower dimensional fields of energy. That means that they are being possessed by entities that are communicating to them, and they're listening to them and not listening to God. You understand? When you listen to God tells you, this beautiful soul in front of you, this powerful being in front of you, this amazing being in front of you, this person is so smart, they're so this, they're so that, blah, 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 blah. Every time I talk to angels have another person, oh my God, this person is this person can do this, oh my God, this person has this kind of ability, this person has this kind of ability, he can do this, da, 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 da. Anything that says anything outside of that, I know it's not coming from the light. So I don't play that game.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not coming from the light, I'm not gonna be listening to your spite. That's it. Because it's coming from a fear-based, lower dimensional field of intelligence. I'm not gonna, someone says, oh, this and this and this and this about this person. I'm like, okay, empty ears. Oh, this person's gossiping about this person, empty ears. Why aren't you could say, you could gossip about someone and say, oh, this person has been alcoholic and this and that and the other. However, why don't we take this moment right now and pray for this person? Why don't we take this moment right now and focus and see them not drinking anymore and living a healthy and vibrant life? Use your need for gossip to build a community that is actually creating energy that changes that person without them even knowing that you're doing it. That's what it means to be a being of light. You see what I'm saying? You're not a being of light if you're constantly focusing on things that the darkness wants you to focus on. And there's no judgment here. It's not, oh, you're a bad person. No. You're not a bad person. You're just simply distracted. That's it. You're just a distraction. Just a little tiny little distraction.
Yeah. You said
right?
the truth. Yeah, you're correct in every way.
So my whole need to be correct is not necessary. My whole need to serve you and serve God is my most important function in why I exist on this planet. So my key element is not about me being right. It's about you understanding the power and energy that you're being given right now. And that is all I care about, right? So right now, all I want you to simply do is say, God, give me more demonstrations.
Give me more demonstrations
of opening myself up to these levels of truth.
To opening up. I'm sorry. Say again.
To
opening up.
To opening myself up.
To opening up myself up.
To these levels of truth.
To the levels of truth.
That's right. And then you know what happens? Spirit then starts showing you demonstrations. Because Spirit loves to take someone who is still teetering on their faith and get them fully faithed up. That's why I always say, if you start having doubt, don't go to doubt. Don't go to the dark side and all of a sudden start worrying and stuff. Just go straight to Spirit. Say, Spirit, I'm starting to lose faith. Can you give me demonstrations that strengthen my faith? And watch what happens. It's magic. It's powerful. It's illuminating.
Yeah. That's
right?
Something that I have to start doing and asking.
It's not something you have to start doing. You don't have to brush your teeth and you don't have to take a shower. You choose to. So let's change those words and simply say, I am choosing to be that I am in what you're talking about.
Yes.
I don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You choose to. So say, I'm committing
I'm committing
to doing these things
to doing these things
because I want a better life.
because I want a better life.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
That's
So
all.
it's a lot to contain when you hear something from someone, because it's hard to see. But when you hear it from someone and you start to believe in a lot of those feelings come up arise, and you feel those things again. And it's like when you're a child, and when they say children are pure, it's because they see things how they are. And when you start growing up, you see all these, you start building bad habits, you start building all these other things, and you forget all those other things you had in your childhood.
That's right.
And that's what I hold on to. I think, being with my grandmother, and she's the only one that understood me, and that's what I need to let go and start believing in myself.
To see it in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. I know you got this. I know how powerful you are. I love you.
I love you too. And I'm so grateful that you're here healing everyone and educating them and seeing life differently of how they should be seeing life.
We
Everybody can.
people are beautiful, powerful beings.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, sorry. Love you too. Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye bye.
Well, that was powerful and beautiful and wonderful in every way. And it's such an honor to always be there to show up and give love and be of service to God and to love people and to see them rise and reach higher levels of truth so that they can live the best life ever. How's that for a mala ashe? And how's that for a namaste? How is that for a hallelujah? How is that for a amen, a woman? How is that for mashallah, mashallah? Life is beautiful. We're beautiful. And it's so wonderful to be here on the planet and to serve God and to serve love and to serve transformation for all those who are open and ready to see the potential of why they even exist, why they were chosen to exist at this time, at this amazing time. You were called in because we need you. I love you so much. And again, please, at any given time, you can send me a message. If you're on the Lit Vibe app, you can also send me a message there. We have amazing things coming up. Get on the newsletter at shamandurek.com. Do the 30 days strong at shamandurek.com. It's free training. If you want to take courses that are on there, you can. They're very inexpensive, so it doesn't hurt the pocketbook. You can join our live webinars. Just find out where they are by getting on shamandurek.com and finding out when those webinars are. Again, it doesn't hurt the pocketbook. And I love you so much. You can also listen to the podcast at Ancient Wisdom Today Podcasts. That's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or any place where podcasts are. It's a global podcast. It's been around for a while. We have amazing guests, beautiful conversations that keep you lit. Remember, the key element here is stay lit. That means stay in the vibration of high level vibrational energy. And remember that you are powerful. Don't question if you're worth it. You don't need to do that anymore because you are. Okay? I love you all so much. Remember what a gift to this planet you are, what a gift to life you are. And every single day when you wake up in the morning, say, "Thank you, God, for my beautiful life. I love myself. I love this world. And I love to be of service." And when you do that, You're going to do great things in life. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye, darlings. Yay. Yay. Love you. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Amala Ashe. Bye.